Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the stage here at Glee 2021. And hello to everyone who's joining us virtually as we are live on the Glee Connect app. If you are joining us virtually, please don't forget to get your questions in via the Ask the Speaker function on the app. Right, next up, we have the lovely duo with their talk on connecting the in-store and digital customer experience. So please put your hands together for Marketing and Buying Manager of Yarnton Garden Centre, Bryony Fletcher, and Visual Merchandising Manager, Yarnton Garden Centre, Celia Leeson-Cox.
Hi.
Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. So we've come here today to talk to you about what we've been up to over the last 2 to 3 years. It's been a big project, but we both came on to work for a garden centre that at the time was known as Oxford Shopping and Garden Village. When we arrived, the garden centre previously had been owned by these lovely twins, Nigel and Richard. They had bought the land off Oxford University originally to grow vegetables for the universities, and they sold the veg to the universities. And as the common market came in, they realised that they just couldn't compete. So they moved Yarnton nurseries towards more of a garden centre, and they were there for about 50 years. So when we started, we had this amazing sort of legacy. We had a wonderful, loyal following. It was deeply loved by the community. But it was tired. So this is a few pictures of how the garden centre looked when we started. So I'll just run through those for you. So as you can see, it was just a little grey, a little tired. The branding was a bit worn down. So I walked around in circles for about 3 days, and then I rang Celia and said, I can't do this alone. You've got to come and help me. So that's when she came on board as a visual merchandiser, and we realised pretty closely that to build a brand, we were going to have to do it as a team, me on the digital side and Celia very much on the store side. So we set to work. We worked incredibly closely and have done all the way through. So I'm going to start just by talking a little bit about building the brand and how that came about, and then Celia will tell you a bit more about how she brought that brand to life in the garden centre physically. So obviously, the lovely twins had sold the garden centre, and it was then renamed Oxford Shopping and Garden Village. Now, we weren't in Oxford, we were in Yarnton, and we just felt that it wasn't sort of connecting with the roots, calling it Oxford Garden and Shopping Village. So we thought long and hard, and we spoke to local people, our customers. We also spoke to the staff base there that had been there for many years. And we felt really strongly that we had to bring Yarnton back into the name. That was something that really meant a lot to us. And actually, when we announced the new name on Facebook, we were overwhelmed with incredibly positive response that we'd taken it back to Yarnton. It reconnected us with the community. And again, we just had that lovely kind of community following that loyalty. From a branding point of view, the garden centre was now not family-run, it was investor-run. So we, me and my business partner, Clive Rose, we set about thinking about how can we create a persona for the garden centre that would last long beyond us. So in branding terms, that's really where your brand equity lies, when you have a kind of character that goes beyond the people in the business. So we came up with this lovely little bird, who's now called Twiggy, and we got the children of Yarnton to do a colouring in competition of the logo and to choose a name, and lots of people thought that Twiggy was a lovely name, lots of children, so they won garden-inspired prizes, and this little bird became known as Twiggy. So this is a little bit of the brand development and the original sketches. So there's Twiggy. So the first thing we did, so we had to rebrand the entire centre from the website, uniform, all the signage. So the first thing we did was obviously set about with the signage and the entrance. So Twiggy, from a branding point of view, has become a real asset for us. We use Twiggy for everything. So when I'm marketing and branding, I don't think, what would I do? I think, what would Twiggy do? And Twiggy is very closely aligned with all our values in the garden centre. So he obviously loves plants. He also loves home and the nesting element of what we do. But he's an adventurer. He likes to get outside. We also had to come up with a logo or an icon that would appeal to the older demographic, our established demographic, but we also wanted to become a very inclusive family centre, and we felt that Twiggy really served the purpose across the whole store. So here are a few more iterations of how we've used the Twiggy and the sort of cartoon that goes with Twiggy. So for Bee Day, Twiggy turned into a bee. And we've loved using him, obviously, at big seasonal moments for the centre. So at Christmas, we have great fun with Twiggy. So we can change him throughout. When COVID hit, we changed our logo from Yarnton Home and Garden to Yarnton Stay Home and Garden, and we put Twiggy in a mask. So we changed all our logo across the website, Instagram, everything, and people really loved that. So we were trying to get behind that message of staying home, and we switched up our business model, but more on that a bit later. And we also send Twiggy out in a box. So if we do any gift boxes via post, Twiggy, it's Yarnton in a box. So he's really synonymous with the brand. And we've used the kind of idea that, oh, I think I missed one. Sorry, bear with me. Just going to go back one. So we've used the idea that we can take those sort of bright colours and do things a little bit differently. So we've moved away from the more sort of traditional marketing, and we thought we've got to make something our own. We are located, I should have said at first, we're located north of Oxford and just south of Woodstock. So we feel like we've got this lovely link to the city and the more urban sort of new houses and things like that, as well as the Cotswold Market. But we just wanted to make it really approachable. Garden centres are a weird marketing thing in that you are actually marketing to lots of generations. You know, normally as marketers you say, go after the few and really hone in on a niche. But actually, I feel that the modern garden centre is for the family, and that spans all the generations of the family. So we've tried to keep our colours and our look and feel just very, very approachable and very, very inclusive. So there's a bit more on our rebranding across the store, and you'll see that we use Twiggy for things like spring bulbs, and that would be replicated in digital mail-outs and things that we send out, and also on social media. So once we had this lovely brand, which our staff and customers were really pleased with, we wanted to start really building those brand bonds with our local customers, and also customers that were further away. The garden centre had been through a lot of changes since the twins left, so I think there was an element of really needing to reconnect and have some consistency from a branding point of view. So one of the first things I did was launch a loyalty scheme. And in that, you become a friend of Yarnton, so we've kept the language super friendly. We didn't call it a loyalty scheme, we called it Becoming Our Friends. And you get really, really good discounts on products, fabulous offers, and they're meaningful. They're not just sort of end-of-line sort of paying lip service. We do really good, valuable discounts. It's really worth becoming a loyalty member. And it's meant that we've built up a really strong loyalty following in 2 years of over 10,000 people, which is fabulous. The other thing that I did from the beginning was decide that we need to consistently engage with our customers. They'd been through a lot of change with the centre changing names a couple of times, with the sale of it. So I really wanted to start providing some consistent customer engagement. So I launched our mailing list. So every week, feel free to sign up at the bottom of our website. We send a lovely email. They're not all sales-driven. So in marketing speak, we call them nurturing emails. So they're about the store, what's happening, and anything that's going on. But we also will then do sales emails. So sort of 1 of every 4 might be a bit more sales-focused. It might be around garden centres. Are they coming up? Oh, yeah, they're good. And you can see we've got different ones here covering the different areas. Obviously, Celia's kept me massively on my toes because the centre changes every week, so I have to run in and get it photographed and get it launched, and then COVID kept me massively on my toes. So we've been going at pace. Retail's fast anyway. A transformation makes that even more pressurised, and then COVID. But we've managed to do our email. And the other thing we do is have very strong bonds over social media. So we have a lovely, well-connected social media following. We respond to every comment. We respond to all our messages, and that's really worked really, really well for us. So that's a little bit about the marketing sort of strategy. We also did a little bit of radio to establish ourselves and a little bit less, but a bit of print adverts. One of the first big projects we had was we decided that we really wanted to make our centre very inclusive. We wanted it to be very family orientated. So we built Yarnton Magic Garden, which is, I don't even want to call it a play barn because it's so different to every other play barn out there. Having been a mum, and still a mum, of 2 small children, I knew that fever when you went into big kind of crazy spaces with the children and you lost one and one got knocked over, and I just thought, I don't want to do that. So we've created a very zen space, squishy furniture. Celia will talk more about dressing it and the inspiration for the inside, but we also built it around the garden theme. So in our play barn there is a little wooden play hut with soft tools and little wheelbarrows. Our play area is tree houses. We have indoor teepees and little reading zone. So the Magic Garden's been a big thing for us to bring that lovely younger demographic into the store. And just attract a new demographic to the store, which was really, really important. We obviously didn't want to lose any of our existing customers, but we did want to take that brave step of trying to attract new people into the store. So this is just a little bit of the branding around the Magic Garden. So again, you'll see that we've used Twiggy, but in a slightly different way. So it's a bit younger, it's more appealing to that younger market. There he is with his gorgeous little Twiggy socks on. And here we've done some posters, and you'll see that rocket is actually Jeannot, so one of our suppliers. It's one of our best-selling toys. So where we can, we've tried to really support our suppliers with everything we do, and if we can incorporate them into the marketing in this way, we absolutely will. So moving on, really, I mean, that's what I've been busy doing, but like I said, I literally couldn't have done it without Celia. And Celia's been really imperative on creating that brand experience in store. That's why we've had to work incredibly closely. So the next few slides, we're just going to run you through some of the big transformations that happened, and you can actually see the store. So shall I hand over to you?
Well, I don't really know where to start after all of that, because that was quite comprehensive, as you can imagine. The difficulty for me was that we had a huge centre, which is quite difficult because it's on 2 levels. And I was very conscious of, with Bryony's social media side of things, the imagery that was going out wasn't necessarily what the customers would be finding in store. So we were doing we did nearly all the renovations whilst we were open. Lots of late nights and early mornings, obviously. All the builds, so we had hard hats on during the day, and then doing, wiping the dust off everything, and then doing lovely displays during the day, and then it was all ripped apart again. And it's been a tough 3 years, but we've learned so much, and I even in my age now, it's incredible. It's been an incredible challenge, amazing project, and it's been really fun to be part of. And actually, the hard work is just beginning to be rewarded now. So we've turned it into a really fun family destination. It's just really good fun, and I think everybody here hopefully will get a bit of an idea of what we've been trying to do, really. Anyway, so I'm not going to go back all over the bits and pieces. I kept thinking, well, actually, I could say something about that bit, but, it's gone. So what I'd do is I'd just start just talking you through roughly. So we've got to the restaurant now. I spent a lot of time, I think from my point of view, I've been doing display work, really. That's been my background, really, for about the last 12 years. I've had varying career, but all in retail. I absolutely love it, and I think you have to have the passion to be able to do that. I love it. And I think you have to take on something like this, I have to say. So if I start with the cafe, really, so I looked at all the data, we looked at all the growth areas, the areas that I could make an improvement on. I looked at all the areas that were ticking over fine and that we could sort of leave. So a lot of it was prioritising right at the beginning. And then, so just sort of work my way through the main priorities, like, you know, just giving a good tidy up and making it look in some areas presentable, where it wasn't presentable because I was doing all this work. With the colour, I would just say that that's been key for our brand. That was something we picked up very early on with the Magic Garden. But we didn't want to do it as all big brash colours. We wanted it to be quite grown up, but quite inclusive. So we weren't, it was a really tricky ask, actually, to maintain the loyal customer base that we had, but actually to increase it. So we didn't want to exclude anybody. We wanted to keep it all, you know, as there's that old age phrase where you can't please everyone. So I was very aware of that as well. So it's, you know, it's been quite a journey, but I think we've managed to do that by taking our customers on the journey with us. So they've seen it all, nuts, bolts, believe me. And actually, just by keeping that communication going, they've loved it, I think. They've loved it. And, you know, we still have these same old faces coming in, which is great. I'll just refer to the cafe here. My biggest critic was a 96-year-old, she'd hate me for saying that, a lovely lady, been coming into the centre for I don't know how many years, and she comes in regularly every single morning about 9 o'clock. She's the first customer there for her coffee, and she was my biggest critic. I can assure you, everything I did, she was asking me why, yeah, but she's got pride of place now. I've given her own special little chair in the cafe, and she has a nice cushion that says reserved for Nancy. So she loves that, doesn't she?
Yeah.
With the cafe, that was obviously a key. Oh, I've missed it.
Oh, sorry.
You shut me
I
up.
got that one, yeah.
With the cafe, I think the other thing for me, just to very quickly say, is that I've worked a lot with collaborating, which is a huge thing for us. And I think actually a huge thing for the industry now as well. It's all about collaborating. It's finding brands that you can join forces with, this short-term, long-term projects, anything really. There's so much opportunity out there to do that. So with the cafe, first of all, it's a huge space, huge. I think, what was it, 350, 300 covers, I think. So I looked very carefully at the flow, the customer flow, could see where the hiccups were, where, you know, I wanted to make it a seamless experience as possible. So I divided it into some 3 different areas. We put in a specific coffee, hot drinks house shape, which is actually key through the whole centre, actually. I've introduced these houses which are colourful, which we can use for display, feature displays, marketing, all the rest of it. So they're quite a nice little punctuation point that join the whole centre up. Yeah, so the first thing we did was actually with all the environmental message that was going on, that was actually key for us. So I approached one of our suppliers, Lifestyle Garden, who supplied all the duration chairs, the first chair made out of recovered ocean plastic, which was a huge coup for us, actually. So we were the first garden centre to have those in our bistro sort of area. And then I'm a great believer in using a shop floor as, or even the cafe as well, to sell your product. So it was a great thing where people could actually come in and sit down on the chairs and just think, well, actually they learn about the story and you know, would hopefully go off and buy them, tell their friends about them, and actually we're doing, you know, the planet some good as well. So we have the first duration chair. We've now just actually got the second one, which is lovely. It's a beautiful mint colour. If anybody would like one, it's being launched at Chelsea next week, but we've already got it, which is quite nice. And then, so we've got the coffee. The other thing I wanted to give a bit of a nod. Yeah, this one here. I wanted to just give a bit of a nod to where we come from. So it's about embracing the change rather than just wiping it all out as if it was not really very important, which it is, because we're all here for, you know, a part of what we are, really. So the little area there, I felt that it needed a bit of a footprint, really. So I use that to, we've called it Twiggy's Top Table, which is actually quite sweet. So the idea behind that was so that people could come in and actually reserve the space, because it's very open and big, and I just needed that little bit of, what's the word?
Containing, yeah, cosy.
Yes,
Yeah.
cosy, so that if anybody wanted to come in and have like a Mother's Day meal or a cream tea, so we get the WI coming in for cream tea, all that sort of thing. It's a bit like having your favourite window seat in a restaurant, really. So just to give that elevated level of service, which wasn't always possible, with all the other things going on in the cafe as it does. So we've been able to really, dress it. I mean, it's still, that's actually a bit of work in progress then, but we can really go to town with it seasonally. So we've got lots of orange, lovely flowers and pumpkins, all that sort of thing, just to make it feel really special, really. So that's quite a nice little thing that's worked out for us, isn't it, really?
Should I go on?
Yeah, go on, yeah, please. Yes, so I was just saying about collaborating. Once I'd done the cafe, it was absolutely lovely, because one of our wonderful suppliers approached us and just said that they'd be really interested in looking at part of the shop floor to come in and collaborate with us. We were a concession-based business beforehand. I'm sure you're all aware that, the fashion industry, probably lots of garden centres have lost, like we have, a lot of the fashion concessions, who just sort of turned up overnight and took everything and then left a big space. Fortunately, we had one company that had a bit of foresight with that. When was that? When did that go in? It's so
over a year ago now, yeah.
I think probably over a year, 18 months ago now, who were very keen to develop this relationship. Dutch company, I'm sure we've got the branding up there, yeah, present time. Great company. They were stocking us anyway for things like watering cans. There was a really nice mixture of home and garden stuff in there. It was a bit contemporary, so we brought them in as a new, sort of aspirational, this is where we're going to get to. Anyway, it has now transpired into this wonderful shop within a shop, which is fantastic. It all happened just about the right time, and we've actually just doubled their space now, which is wonderful. It's so good to have them on board. But the wonderful thing is about that is that now that's its own area, and we're actually just going to get the new season stock now in a whole new setting, shop front again, so they're coming in towards the end of this month, repainting, re-wallpapering, we get the new stock, all of that. So it's a real changing atmosphere, and it's just really fun and funky, and our customers love it. From the basis of that, we've then gone on to other areas. We've now, amazingly enough, got Bloomingville in as another shop within a shop, which is fantastic, first within the UK. And as the floor space has become available, I've managed to sort of keep on top of it by introducing different areas. We've now got a secondary card shop, for instance, which is another huge growth area for us. We have one up in the garden shop, so on the higher level, which caters for our more independent, the original target market, I guess, if you want to call it, traditional cards, which is vendor managed. But then down the bottom, we've now got a new contemporary card shop, which is catering much more for our younger customers and families. And so it's really nice. We've got to, rather than it being exclusive and just saying, actually, we don't want that market anymore, we're trying to include everybody, and it's worked brilliantly with the two levels. Okay. And
then the
food hall, just very quickly, right? The food hall has been a bit of a nightmare for us in a way. Being a very urban market, we've had this. I mean, probably some of you as well have had the same thing. Where is it a food hall? Is it a farm shop? We felt that being closer to Oxford was probably more of a food hall, but obviously there was the run to do everything rustically and to grow your own and all that. There's no way we could do that because we didn't have the space for one. We just felt actually food hall, but equally people expect to see something that's going to be a bit more farm shoppy to get the feel for the place and for the shop. You know, it had to sort of have its own identity, really. So we've just literally just tried to tackle this issue again. So what I've done is actually we had some very bright, colourful things in there, some very big tables. What I've just done very quickly is to introduce some more rustic tables. So I've set up, we've got 3 new growth areas which we've identified. So one is beer, most importantly, which hopefully will attract our male customers a bit more to have a bit of a, and bread, which is that nice homely sort of feel, and coffee, which, so if you smell the coffee. So we're very strong on our coffee brands. We have a wonderful Cotswold baker who's just about to win Baker of the Year, hopefully. So lots of social interaction with that. And what was the other one I said? Oh, beer, lots of beer. We have a lot of local beers as well, so we've got the opportunity to support our local businesses with that as well. So yes, we're just about to start reaping some rewards with that once now Christmas food has arrived. And the plants, right, again, that was the first,
we're here, yeah, plants,
okay.
yeah.
The first initial thing I wanted to do was to really stamp a bit of authority on what we were trying to do. So my first purchase, which was very scary, was several £1,000s worth of plants tables, much to the horror of my boss at the time. But anyway, they've absolutely, you know, it's worked perfectly. We now have some proper professional plant tables which fill the space, and we've seen the growth. We've caught up really with the trend in the house plants, which seems to just be going on and on. Again, I think there's the USP for all of that is that as a garden centre we have the plant knowledge, whereas a lot of the, you know, other outlets, shall I call them, perhaps don't. So that's got to be our strength, and we've got to know, look as if we know what we're talking about. So that's probably all I say on the plants. Is this the last one, nearly? Yeah. Yes, it is. Right. So the last bit, which I'm really proud of, actually, because obviously I couldn't do all of this on my own. This has absolutely been a huge team effort, all of us. I know it probably sounds a bit cheesy to say that, but I absolutely mean it. I'm the one that wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a notepad and thinking, yeah, I must do this, this, and this. And then I have a wonderful team. One of them is actually here with me today, who facilitate all of that. I mean, it's a massive task. One of my lovely first members of the team that I had, she's, I don't know what I'd do without her, to be honest. But she's actually back at the ranch looking after the place today, while the rest of us, you know, come and have a jolly, as she calls it. But I wanted to show her that with all the work that she's done and everything that she's learnt, she's never done anything like this before, but she absolutely had the right attitude and just wanted to learn, and she's really embraced it. So I asked her to design our new tills. And this is what they actually are, which sounds like it probably is something quite easy. But I said, I just gave her free rein, and she's adopted the little house icon that we sort of have all over the shop, really, as our punctuation. So I was really pleased. So it was as much a test for her as me to see what she's actually learnt and what she could come up with, and I'm just blown away, really. So she has thought of absolutely everything, all down to, you know, the info desk, how she's made it all work. We've used the cladding, we've got the cement look-alike. I mean, all of it.
But also behind, there's hooks for the bags.
Oh, my goodness. She has thought of absolutely, the staff even have heat mats to stand on in the winter. I mean, she has thought of everything. They're clean, they're so clean. They have their own little dustpan and brush that they can clean. I mean, the best bit as well is that you can't see it on there, but they are COVID ready as well. So we actually have the Perspex screens that go all around that you can't actually see, but I have to say they are spotless all the time because the staff just love them so much. And I mean, she's just done it. So these are our little till points all over. Gives us a nice little bit of space at the front. Each one we have a, you know, a point of sale bit where we can promote something. So we have those up in the top and in the bottom area as well. So that's our last little bit that just sort of says thank you so much for coming in. I hope you've had a lovely day, and yeah, we like to think we're a bit different, really. So that's probably it from me.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, obviously we've gone through a lot, and we just, actually on the previous picture, we've literally just putting the final pieces to a whole new home and interior area of the store with present time in Bloomingville. But I guess, I mean, what Celia said about it being teamwork is 100% true. Like, we've had an amazing team. They've had to quickly adapt and come on this journey with us. Some of them have worked at the centre many, many years. So it's been a lot of change for them. Others have joined us, and then obviously COVID hit, but we couldn't have done it without the team. On the buy-side marketing, VM, all of them are incredible. But I guess the thing is, in terms of to be continued, we're at a lovely point now. We've been nominated for the Greats Retail Gift Section Award, haven't we? And Celia's got is it a fellowship? She'll kill me. She'll kill me in the car.
I don't know if anyone's heard of British Display Society at all, but they're a brilliant society from my point of view for the visual merchandising. They're there to educate. So there's a lot of education. They do a lot of courses. They have centres of excellence across the world. Actually, it's not just in Britain. I was talking to Ian Kimmins, who's the chairman. He's been doing visual merchandising for years. We're a funny bunch, but we can talk about that all day long, but I won't bore you. Just about where we are as garden centres, because a lot of their history and their work has been done with the department stores, clearly. He spends a lot of time, as he said, he's spent a lot of his career flying to Dubai and the Far East and, you know, setting up all these big brands for Hugo Boss and blah-de-blah. Absolutely brilliant work, obviously, but where we've got to now as the garden centres in the UK as well, I've been particularly keen to promote the garden centres now, in that, you know, we too are doing the same thing but in a slightly different way, perhaps a bit more grassroots way. And I challenged him to come down and actually do something in our chemical department, for instance. So he spent the day with us, and he's really got behind it now. He's very, you know, as a society, it's a really good thing to join. So if there's anybody that's interested in doing that, it's a well worth thing. You get, you know, there's lots of coverage. We just had a 2-page spread in there. VM Spotlight magazine, as it's called, which he keeps telling me has a global readership of about 1.6 million. So it's quite a good thing to be involved. And when you actually look at the people that are involved with it as well, it's quite it's worthwhile, you know, joining up and having a look into it, certainly. But yes, most proudly for me, my two main stalwarts in helping me with all of this have become associate members of the British Display Society, which is rather nice. And then they sort of bestowed, mainly because I've had a lot of experience over the years, because I'm very old, but yes, so they bestowed this sort of fellowship on me, which was rather nice, so that's quite fun. But yes, do have a look if anyone's interested in the visual merchandising side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I guess the last thing we were going to say is that, you know, to be continued is our last slide, mainly because we just feel that you have to constantly stay agile. I mean, garden centres have changed shape so much, and Celia and I both really believe that, you know, where the high streets, sadly, at the moment are lagging, although I'm sure they'll catch up with lots of pop-ups and great initiatives, and we want them to, of course, but garden centres have filled that hole. You know, you can park easily, they're accessible, they're great, great spaces. And really the world's your oyster with them now. You know, you're not trapped in those sort of traditional confines that were maybe imposed upon the industry before. And I guess we just encourage people to have fun within that, and we certainly have from a branding and a VM point of view. But absolutely for us, the key to this project has been that relationship between us, and making sure that we weren't working in silos, that it was always a kind of really fluid narrative. And luckily, we get on really well, so most of the time, when I don't make a talk. So it's been good. But thanks so much for listening. Yeah. We're more than happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, hands up. Oops, sorry.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in the transformation so far?
Well, there have been so many over the last couple of years or so. We just get started with something. The cafe, for instance, we just just about finished. And then it all got shut down. So that was a bit depressing.
Yeah,
and then I went off for furlough because the business very quickly changed in COVID to
Click and
a
collect,
non-customer facing business, which was amazing actually, and very, very quickly. But I came back to my lovely new cafe as a warehouse. It was full of pallets, literally, where they'd been picking and packing and collecting and delivering and all this sort of stuff. And I just so that was quite interesting. And then I spent the next few months sort of trying to get it back to normal again before Christmas all arrived. And so that was quite a challenge. I think really the biggest thing from my point of view was just to maintain our lovely, loyal gardening base, our lovely customers. And they've absolutely stuck with us the whole way through, which has been a huge thing. So that's probably a tough thing, but it's actually been worth it, really. So
Yeah, I think on my side, it's been definitely pulling up my big girl pants. And, you have an instinct, you've done your market research, that's all very well, but then you have to get on and do it. And I also do the gift buy and the food and toy. You're spending someone else's money, you're responsible. And I think, you just have to go for it and be brave. But obviously, I've had a few sleepless nights thinking, oh, is that going to sell? Should I have done that? But definitely, COVID obviously has been a phenomenal challenge for us, without a doubt. And I think also the PR, doing the kind of public relations and that communication through COVID, and really trying to strike that balance as well, because garden centres were allowed to stay open when the rest of retail wasn't. So there was a little bit of anger from other retailers, but really just getting the message out there, well, hold on, we do support other local suppliers. We are propping up lots of businesses here. It's not just us being greedy. We're trying to really invest in the locals and the smalls as well. That's probably been a few of my biggest challenges.
I've just actually thought to say quite quickly just about Christmas, because I think it says something about Christmas on the stage timetable, which we weren't quite prepared for. But obviously that time is looming, is here, which for me is a bit scary, because I'm sure we're all having the same issues with supply. Our Christmas, because it's such a big area and we have this difficult site, what I actually decided to do, because we didn't have a space that was big enough to do a Christmas department, so we actually do it all across the store, which actually is a good thing in a way, because it takes the customer on the journey all the way round. On the downside of that, you're doing everything very publicly, which it's not always easy. So again, it's late nights, which we all do anyway. If you're in the industry, you know about that. But it's doing the nasty bits and then doing the nice bits during the day. So it does put a lot of issues, and particularly when I was going through our pallets the other day of what we've actually got, and I'm like. So I've divvied out various areas to my lovely team. Jason at the moment probably has about 5 boxes in his, tiny ones. So he's busy designing all sorts of display things to fill the gaps. So we just got to be, you just got to be on it and draw as much inspiration from everywhere around here, really. The show's a brilliant source of inspiration. So that's probably what I'm going to say about Christmas, and leave it there. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
How have you found suppliers have worked with you on your journey, and has there been any that have particularly impressed you and done something unique?
100%. I don't think we could have done any of this without our suppliers. And actually, I will say, Kevin, who wouldn't come on stage today, but I will give him a massive shout out, because he spent the last, there he is, he spent the last 35 years building absolutely brilliant relationships with suppliers. It made my job in buying and marketing and Celia's job so much easier. So we've had brilliant suppliers. They've supported us in so many ways. They give us seeds for our Seeds for School program. They offer prizes for competitions. They pop up. I mean, Evergreen obviously is brilliant where you work. We've just had so much support from suppliers, and we couldn't have done it without them.
They're like family.
Yeah,
they're
they
like
are.
family, aren't you, really? I think it's all about collaborating, making the most of those industry relationships, which is why we've all missed the show so much. Just really nice just to be able to talk to people, and we're all in the same industry, so let's just enjoy it and support each other is what I would say.
We see them as part of the team, really, don't we?
Absolutely.
They hot desk in the office, you come to work and there's present time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, we just have that sort of, and we've followed Kevin's lead, obviously, but that very sort of inclusive, friendly atmosphere. It's very, from before we started, it was family run, and it had a strong sense of family, and the colleagues were close like family. So we've just benefited from that.
Just look after them. Look after them, because they're so precious, and they go, all the reps and the agents, they're going all around the country, seeing all these different places that we're not getting time to go and have a look at. So just, get to know them. They're lovely, yeah.
What did you find most effective in growing your virtual presence?
Single-handedly, it's got to be a consistent email marketing campaign. So the till staff absolutely hated me at first, but I was very strong on it that we had to ask every customer for an email. The way we do that is really non-commercial, and because we can say that the emails we send out are not sales-based, like I said, there's lots of nurturing emails, there's gardening tips. We offer so much lovely content in there. That email goes out to well over 10,000. When I started, we didn't have a mailing list, so that's over 2 years. So you're talking directly to 10,000 people. We've got an amazing open rate. And what we've found with that is over COVID, where we had to shut the store very suddenly, reopen it, we actually just had this great way of talking to people directly. I use the email as the basis for the rest of my marketing. So I plan my marketing. Normally, I'd plan it in a year in advance, but at Yarnton, I plan it quarterly because you never know what's around the corner. And then what I do is I use the email and I base all my social media and any other in-store marketing I'm doing off that email. So it's sort of like using that content, but it's so worth investing in a photographer. I mean, if there's one bit of marketing advice I can give you, it's that you have 3 seconds to catch someone's attention digitally. So if they're not yet in store, but you want to get them in store, you need to capture them. You will not do it with bad imagery. In fact, you'll damage your brand. So getting a photographer, if you can't afford one regularly, you plan quarterly, you plan for your seasons. You give them, working with photographers, you want to give them a very clear list. So you've planned your marketing, you know what emails you're sending. So the photographer will come in and I'll give him a shoot list. I'll have it all set up. If I need the VM's help with styling, I will have spoken to Celia before. And we get it all shot, and then you've got a lovely package of content for that season. And what's lovely about being in a garden centre is the seasons tend to repeat themselves, especially with plants. So once you've made that investment in your plant photography, you can reuse that photography next year, because if it's not changing product, it's and you've got a brilliant daffodil shot, why repeat it? So you build up a really strong library of images would be my advice, especially in a seasonal business like this. And then you can just draw from it, and it's one of the best investments you'll make. But email marketing direct to your customer, you see, there's no better way. And we do various incentives we sign people up at tills, but we do online competitions on social media, in-store competitions to sign people up. We speak to suppliers. So I also do the buy, but I have a very close relationship because I've got that marketing knowledge. I'll always say, can I speak to your marketing manager? So if we have a big supplier, so at Bloomingville present time, I'm in constant contact with their marketing managers, and we will share content, they'll share our content. And once you get that traction online, the rest follows. But you do have to put effort in, absolutely.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from the audience? No, I think we can leave it there then. But just a massive round of applause for the guys, Bryony and Celia, please.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.